My husband kept me isolated for 2 decades, poured scalding water on me for undersalted food, and kept a hidden family 40 minutes away, spending our $170,000 in savings, so I slipped away without a word. That happened 11 months back. My daughter says he still parks outside her building nightly, clutching my wedding photo in his car. Can you imagine dedicating 2 decades of your life, your entire heart, to a man you believed was your protector, only to discover he was the very cage holding you captive? It took my own daughter, her voice trembling, to finally rip off my blindfold and show me the terrifying truth about the man I called my husband. For over 20 years, I was Mrs. Protagonist's last name. We had 2 amazing kids, Aaron and Matthew, and from the outside, it probably looked like a perfect life. I mean, I thought it was perfect. From the very beginning, my husband was intense, possessive. He said it was because he loved me so much. He didn't want me going to parties with friends, not even during the day. He made me quit my job after we got married, even though I had a master's degree and could have earned just as much as him. Someone needs to be home for the kids, he'd say. And I bought it. Hook, line, and sinker. I remember one time, our new neighbor, a really sweet man, brought over some homemade sweets. Just a friendly gesture, you know? My husband saw me talking to him for literally 2 minutes. After that, he told me I was never to open the door if a man was ringing. If I did, I was disloyal. A whore. His words, not mine. And the worst part? My naive, young self. I just thought, oh, that's just his way of showing he cares. I truly believed it was love. But thank God my daughter, Erin, finally snapped me out of that delusion. Erin had just graduated college, crushing it, doing so well she'd bought her own apartment, all with her own money. I was bursting with pride. At the end of last month, I called her to congratulate her on her first month there. But her voice on the phone, it was heavy somber. She asked if we could talk in person. Sure, honey, just come on over, I said, thinking maybe some boy trouble. But she insisted, no, Mom. You need to come to my place. The way she said it sent a chill down my spine. Something was wrong. Was she in trouble? But I couldn't drive. I didn't have a car. I told her as much. Just get ready in 20 minutes, she said, cutting me off. I'm picking you up. My head was spinning. What was happening? I got ready in 5, my mind racing. I went to tell my husband I was leaving, but Erin practically screamed, no. Don't tell him anything. She didn't say another word during the entire car ride. The moment we walked into her apartment, she just clung to me, hugged me tighter than she ever had before. I gently patted her back, trying to calm her. Oh, my sweet girl, I thought, must be some big love drama. I even smiled to myself, thinking how grown up she was now. Then she pulled back, looked me dead in the eyes, and shattered my entire world. Mom, she whispered, her voice cracking. I can finally help you get away from him. I just stared. Away from whom? What do you mean? She explained, tears welling up now. She'd waited. She needed her own place, a safe place, before she could tell me. So you wouldn't be hopeless, Mom. So you'd have somewhere to go. Then she took my hands, her grip firm. Mom, listen to me very carefully. When I was a kid, I thought Dad's behavior was normal, too. But going out into the real world, seeing my friends' families, I realized he is toxic. He is controlling you. She paused, taking a shaky breath. Do you remember that time when you, me, and Matthew were watching TV and Dad just burst in screaming? Because you forgot to put enough salt in his food? And he poured hot water all over you? And made you cook everything again? Her voice broke. Mom, incidents like that weren't rare. And you know it. That is not normal. It's absolutely not normal. She was sobbing now, full on, like a child. You've wasted enough years of your life rotting in that place, Mom. You have no friends. But now your children are independent. You don't need to worry anymore. Just think about yourself. Divorce him. My door will always be open. I will always, always support you. Her words hit me like a physical blow. Thanks to him, I had lost all my friends. We drifted so far apart, I hadn't talked to them in years. There were times I just wanted to leave the house, just for a walk to clear my head, but I didn't. Out of fear. Fear of his temper. Fear of what he'd do. I avoided other men like a plague, even at the grocery store, because of the awful things he'd say. I remembered when we were financially struggling. I wanted to use my dusty college degree, pursue my passion for working again, but he refused. Flat out. In front of him, I was always so tame, so silent. Never raised my voice. Not even when he'd come home in the middle of the night, drunk as hell, shouting slurs that would wake the kids. I hated that life. I truly hated it. My own tears started to fall, remembering all those moments. Then I cried even harder, realizing my daughter, my brave Erin, had seen it all. She'd noticed. She'd worked so hard, all for my sake. She wanted to be my rock, to help me break free from my restraints. After hours of crying, holding each other, bonding, we actually laughed. It was a shaky, tear-stained laugh, but it was real. And then I made a decision. It was time. He should be home by now. I picked up the phone. I was going to call him because, for the first time in 20 years, I had finally mustered the courage to ask for a divorce. The moment he answered, he was already yelling. "Where the freak are you?" he demanded. But this time I yelled back. "Lower your voice." I commanded, my voice shaking but strong. "And listen to what I have to say." I didn't get into all the horrific details, not then, but I said enough so that my demand for a divorce wouldn't sound unreasonable. There was a stunned silence on his end. Just for a second. Then his voice boomed, the loudest I'd ever heard it. He wanted to know my location. He claimed someone was spitting venom in my ears, and he was going to end them. I flinched back from the phone, my body tensing. For a terrifying moment, I considered that this was all a mistake. That I couldn't do it. But then I looked at Erin's face. She was looking back at me, so confident, so ready. In that moment, I swear, she looked like she could fight her dad herself. My heart filled with a new kind of courage. "I'm not telling you my location," I told him, my voice steady now. "And I'm not coming back to that house. I am divorcing you. And that is final." He just cut the call. Click. I sighed, a wave of exhaustion washing over me. I told Erin what he'd said. We started discussing next steps, lawyers, paperwork. It was getting late, almost time for bed. But I had forgotten the extent of his craziness. And the chilling fact that he knew Erin's address. Minutes later, we heard a car pull up. Then, a pounding. Louder. More aggressive. Erin grabbed my arm, yanking me away from the door. Her hands were steady, but her jaw was tight. She motioned for me to be quiet, moving to the window, peeking through the blinds. "It's him," she whispered, confirming what we both already knew. The banging continued, now accompanied by his enraged voice. "Open this door right now. I know you're in there." My legs started shaking uncontrollably. 20 years of conditioning kicked in, and I actually found myself moving toward the door, my hand reaching for the knob. But Erin stepped in front of me, shaking her head firmly. Then she pulled out her phone. "What are you doing?" I whispered, panicked. "Calling the police," she said, already dialing. "No, wait." I reached for her phone, but she pulled it away. "Mom, this is exactly what I'm talking about. He's here, threatening us. This isn't normal." The operator answered, and Erin calmly explained the situation while I stood there, frozen. My husband must have heard her through the door because his yelling intensified. "You're calling the cops on me? On your own father. Open this door before I break it down." Something heavy hit the door with a sickening thud. Erin flinched, but kept talking to the operator, her voice unwavering. I watched her, this young woman who used to hide behind my legs when she was scared, now standing between me and pure danger. The police arrived within 10 minutes, though it felt like an eternity. Through the window, we watched 2 officers approach my husband. He immediately switched personas, becoming the charming man I'd fallen for all those years ago. His hands gestured calmly as he spoke to them. One officer came to the door while the other stayed with my husband. Erin opened it. "Ma'am, we received a call about a disturbance," the officer said. Erin explained everything, every terrifying detail, while I stood behind her, completely unable to form words. The officer took notes, then asked if we wanted to press charges for harassment. Aaron looked at me, waiting for my answer. I I don't know, I managed, my voice barely a whisper. We just want him to leave, Aaron said firmly. My mother is staying here tonight, and we don't want him coming back. The officer nodded, returning to his partner. After more discussion, they escorted my husband to his car. He shot one last, burning look at the apartment before driving away. Aaron locked the door, then put the chain on. Only then did she turn to me, and I saw tears in her eyes for the first time since the police arrived. I was so scared, she admitted, and we hugged again, clinging to each other. She made us tea while I sat on her couch, trying to process what had just happened. I'd never seen the police called on my husband before. Part of me felt guilty, like I'd betrayed him somehow. Stop that, Aaron said, reading my face as she handed me the mug. Stop feeling bad for protecting yourself. How did you get so wise? I asked, amazed. Therapy, she said simply. I started going in college when I realized our family wasn't normal. We talked until nearly midnight. She showed me articles about emotional abuse, controlling behavior, isolation tactics. Everything I read described my marriage perfectly. It was like reading my own diary, but written by strangers. I need clothes, I realized suddenly. I can't go back there. We'll figure it out tomorrow, she said. You can borrow mine tonight. She set up the couch for me with fresh sheets and her softest blanket. As I lay there in the dark, my phone buzzed constantly with calls and texts from my husband. I finally turned it off. Sleep didn't come easily. Every car that passed made me tense up, wondering if it was him coming back, but eventually, exhaustion won. I woke to sunlight streaming through the windows and the smell of coffee. Erin was already up, sitting at her small dining table with her laptop open. Morning, she said, sliding a mug toward me. I've been researching divorce lawyers. The word divorce still felt foreign in my mouth. But sitting there in my daughter's sunny apartment, wearing her borrowed pajamas, I felt something I hadn't experienced in years. Hope. I found 3 that specialize in cases like yours, she continued. Good reviews, and one of them offers free consultations. I sat down across from her, wrapping my hands around the warm mug. I don't even know where to start. That's what the lawyer is for, she said. But first, we need to get you some essentials. She'd already made a list: clothes, toiletries, important documents. The documents would be the hardest part. They were all at the house. We could go when he's at work, I suggested, then immediately felt a wave of anxiety. We're not going alone, she said firmly. I'll ask Ben to come with us. Ben was her boyfriend, a sweet guy I'd met a few times when my husband wasn't around. The thought of having backup made me feel slightly better. My phone, when I finally turned it back on, had 43 missed calls and countless texts. I scrolled through them, watching the progression from anger to manipulation, to fake apologies, to threats, and back to anger. Don't read those, Erin said, but I couldn't help myself. One text stood out. I know where you are. This isn't over. My hands started shaking again. Erin took the phone from me and read the message. Her face hardened. We're documenting everything, she said, taking screenshots. This is evidence. The lawyer Erin had found, Victoria Garcia, could see us that afternoon. She drove us to the office, a small but professional space downtown. Victoria had kind eyes, but a firm handshake. She listened to my story without judgment, occasionally asking clarifying questions. When I finished, she laid out my options clearly. The controlling behavior, the isolation, the threats, these are all forms of domestic abuse, she said. You have grounds for divorce and potentially a restraining order. The phrase domestic abuse hit me like cold water. I'd never thought of it that way. Abuse was physical, wasn't it? Black eyes and broken bones. Victoria seemed to read my thoughts. Emotional and psychological abuse are just as valid and damaging as physical abuse, she explained, often more so, because the scars aren't visible. We discussed next steps: filing for divorce, securing my important documents, separating finances. My head spun with all the information. I don't even have my own bank account, I admitted, feeling foolish. That's more common than you think in these situations, Victoria assured me. We'll help you set one up. As we left her office, Erin squeezed my hand. You did great, Mom. But I didn't feel great. I felt overwhelmed and scared and guilty all at once. 20 years of my life, and it was ending with lawyers and police and restraining orders. That evening, Ben came over for dinner. He was a big guy, gentle, but protective. He assured me he'd go with us to get my things the next day. No one should have to go through this, he said simply. Aaron had told him everything with my permission. It felt strange having people know the truth about my marriage. I'd hidden it for so long, made excuses, pretended everything was fine. We made a plan for the next morning. Ben would drive, Aaron would help me pack, and we'd be in and out as quickly as possible. Just essentials for now. But that night, my husband called Aaron's phone. She put it on speaker. What do you want, Dad? Put your mother on. I know she's there. She doesn't want to talk to you. This is between me and my wife. You have no right. She's getting a divorce, Aaron said firmly. Leave us alone. There was a silence then. We'll see about that. He hung up. We looked at each other, and I saw my own fear reflected in Aaron's eyes. Maybe we should stay somewhere else tonight, Ben suggested. But Aaron shook her head. No, we're not running. We have every right to be here. Still, Ben stayed on the couch that night, just in case. I barely slept, jumping at every sound. When morning finally came, I was exhausted but determined. The drive to my house felt surreal. 20 years I'd lived there, and now I was sneaking in like a thief to get my own belongings. My husband's car wasn't in the driveway. Ben waited outside while Aaron and I went in. The house felt different, like I was seeing it for the first time. All the photos on the wall showed smiling faces, but now I could see the tension behind my smile and everyone else's. We worked quickly. I grabbed clothes, medications, my jewelry box with my mother's ring. Aaron found my birth certificate and social security card in my husband's filing cabinet. Why does he have these? She muttered, adding them to the bag. I didn't have an answer. I'd never questioned it before. We were almost done when we heard a car pull up. My heart stopped. Through the window, I saw my husband getting out of his car. Go out the back. Aaron whispered urgently. But it was too late. He was already at the front door, key in hand. We heard it turn in the lock. The front door swung open with such force it hit the wall. My husband stood there, his face contorted with rage, eyes scanning the room until they locked onto us. Aaron instinctively stepped in front of me, but I grabbed her arm, not wanting her to face his fury. Get in the car, he commanded, pointing at me. No. She's not going anywhere with you, Aaron said firmly. His attention snapped to her, and I saw something dangerous flash in his eyes. This is your doing. You poisoned her mind against me. She opened her own eyes. Aaron shot back. You did this to yourself. He took a step forward, and I felt my body react automatically, shrinking back. 20 years of conditioning doesn't disappear overnight. But then I heard Ben's voice from behind my husband. Everything okay in here? My husband whirled around. Ben filled the doorway, his presence calm but imposing. For a moment, nobody moved. Who the hell are you? My husband demanded. A friend, Ben said simply. The ladies were just leaving. They're not going anywhere with my belongings, my husband said, noticing the bags we'd packed. Those are Mom's things, Aaron corrected him. Her clothes, her documents. Everything in this house belongs to me, he said, his voice low and threatening. Including her. Those words hit me like a physical blow. Including her. Like I was property, not a person. Something inside me shifted. I'm not a possession, I said, my voice stronger than I expected. I'm taking my things and leaving. He turned to me, and his expression changed. The rage melted into something softer, more manipulative. Baby, we need to talk. These people are confusing you. Come on, let's go to the bedroom and discuss this privately. I knew this tactic. The gentle voice, the pet names, the suggestion of privacy where he could work on me without witnesses. How many times had I fallen for it? No, I said. We're done talking. His face hardened again. You're making a mistake. You can't survive without me. You don't even have a job. How will you pay for anything? Where will you live? She'll figure it out, Aaron said. We'll help her. We. He laughed bitterly. You think you can support your mother on your little salary? You think this boyfriend of yours will stick around when he has to deal with your family drama? Ben stepped further into the room. I think we should go. My husband moved to block the doorway. Nobody leaves until I say so. The tension in the room was suffocating. I could see Erin's hands trembling despite her brave face. This was exactly what I'd wanted to avoid, my children being caught in the middle of our problems. Please, I said to my husband, just let us go. We can talk about everything through lawyers. Lawyers? His voice rose. You already got a lawyer. How did you pay for that? With my money. It doesn't matter, I said, trying to keep my voice steady. Please move aside. He didn't budge. Ben pulled out his phone. I'm calling the police. Go ahead, my husband sneered. Tell them you're trespassing in my house, stealing my property. Tell them your husband is holding you hostage. Erin countered. The word hostage seemed to shock him. He stepped aside. But as we moved toward the door, he grabbed my arm. His grip was tight, fingers digging in. You walk out that door, you're dead to me, he hissed. You'll get nothing. No money, no house, nothing. I'll make sure you end up on the street. I looked at his hand on my arm, then up at his face. This man I'd spent 20 years with, who I thought loved me in his own way. Now I saw him clearly. Let go, I said quietly. He squeezed harder. You're nothing without me. You know that, right? Nobody else will want you. You're old. You have no skills, no friends. Where will you go? Ben stepped forward. Let her go. Now. My husband released me with a shove. I stumbled and Erin caught me. We hurried out the door, Ben staying between us and my husband until we reached the car. As Ben started driving away, I looked back at the house. My husband stood in the doorway, watching us leave. Even from a distance, I could feel his rage. You okay? Erin asked, examining my arm. Red marks were already forming where he'd grabbed me. We need to document that, Ben said. Take pictures. I nodded numbly. Everything felt surreal. I'd actually left. After 20 years, I'd walked out. My phone started ringing immediately. My husband's name flashed on the screen. I declined the call. It rang again and again. Block him, Erin suggested, but I couldn't. What if there was an emergency? What if he needed something? The thoughts were automatic, even though I knew they were irrational. The texts started coming rapid fire. I made the mistake of reading them. You'll regret this. I know where you're staying. That apartment isn't as safe as you think. I have friends everywhere. You can't hide. Come home now and I'll forgive you. You're destroying our family. Our son will hate you for this. That last one made me gasp. Our son, Matthew. I hadn't even thought about how to tell him. He was away at college, finals week. I couldn't disrupt his studies with this. We'll call him together later, Erin said, reading my mind. He'll understand. But would he? Matthew had always been closer to his father. They watched sports together, went fishing. What if he took his father's side? Back at Erin's apartment, Ben helped carry the bags inside before leaving, promising to check in later. Erin made me tea while I sat on the couch, staring at my phone as the messages kept coming. You should really block him, she said gently. I know, but I didn't move. She sat beside me. Mom, I need to tell you something. This is going to get worse before it gets better. He's not going to just let you go. I knew she was right. My husband didn't lose. In 20 years, I'd never seen him back down from anything. Maybe I should just go back, I said weakly. Try to work things out. Mom, no. She took my hands. Remember why we're doing this? Remember the hot water? Remember all the times you couldn't leave the house? Remember the fear? I did remember. But sitting there in her small apartment, the reality of what I'd done was sinking in. I had no money of my own, no job, no car, nowhere to live except my daughter's couch. I need to call the lawyer, I said, trying to focus on practical steps. Victoria answered on the second ring. I told her about the morning's events, about the threats, about him grabbing me. Did you take pictures of the marks? She asked. Yes. Good. Save all the text messages, too. We'll need them for the restraining order. Restraining order. The words sounded so final, so serious. What about money? I asked. He said I won't get anything. That's not how divorce works, Victoria assured me. After 20 years of marriage, you're entitled to alimony and half the marital assets. Did you get your documents? Yes. Good. Bring them to my office tomorrow. We'll start the paperwork. After I hung up, I felt slightly better. There was a plan, steps to follow. But the phone kept buzzing with messages. Give me the phone, Erin said firmly. I handed it over. She scrolled through the messages, her face growing darker with each one. Mom, these are getting scary. He's talking about knowing where you are, about watching the apartment. A chill ran down my spine. He wouldn't actually, would he? Look what he did this morning, she interrupted. Look at your arm. I looked down at the bruises forming. She was right. I didn't know what he was capable of anymore. That afternoon, we went to the bank to open my own account. It felt strange, signing papers in just my name. The banker was kind, explaining everything patiently. When we left, I had my own debit card, my own account. It only had the $100 Erin had given me to open it, but it was mine. First step toward independence, she said proudly. But as we walked to the car, I noticed a familiar vehicle in the parking lot, my husband's car. He was sitting inside, watching us. Don't look, Erin said, guiding me quickly to her car. Just keep walking. We got in and locked the doors. He didn't move, just sat there watching. Erin started the car and pulled out carefully. He's following us, she said, checking the rearview mirror. My heart pounded. What do we do? We're not going home, she decided, taking a sudden turn. Let's see if he really follows. He did. Through every turn, every street, his car stayed behind us. Erin's knuckles were white on the steering wheel. Call Ben, she said. I fumbled with her phone, finally managing to dial. Ben answered immediately. He's following us, I said without preamble. We left the bank and he's been behind us for 10 minutes. Where are you? Ben asked. I could hear him moving, keys jingling. Erin gave him our location. We're heading toward the police station, she said. Good idea. I'll meet you there. The drive to the police station felt endless. My husband stayed right behind us, not even trying to hide it. When we pulled into the station parking lot, he drove past without stopping. We sat in the car for a moment, both shaking. We need to file a report, Erin said. Inside the station, we explained the situation to an officer. He took notes, looked at the pictures of my bruises, read through some of the text messages. Has he physically hurt you before? The officer asked. I thought about the hot water, the shoves, the grabbed arms over the years. But somehow, saying it out loud to a police officer felt different. Yes, I said quietly, but I never reported it. He nodded like he'd heard this before. We can help you file for an emergency protective order. It's temporary, but it would require him to stay away from you and your daughter. More paperwork, more decisions. By the time we finished, Ben had arrived. He followed us back to the apartment, checking to make sure my husband wasn't waiting. The apartment felt less safe now. Every noise made me jump. When a car door slammed outside, I rushed to the window. Erin ordered pizza for dinner, but I couldn't eat. My stomach was in knots. Maybe I should find somewhere else to stay, I said. I'm putting you in danger. Absolutely not, she said firmly. We're in this together. That night, she gave me her bed and took the couch despite my protests. I lay awake listening to every sound, wondering if he was out there watching. The restraining order paperwork sat on the nightstand, waiting to be served to him. Would that make things better or worse? My phone, which Erin had finally convinced me to put on silent, lit up constantly with messages. I turned it face down, but I knew they were there. 20 years of marriage reduced to angry texts and threats. The next morning came too soon. We had an appointment with Victoria to start the divorce paperwork. Erin took the day off work to go with me. You don't have to do this, I told her. I can go alone. Nice try, she said. We're a team now. At the lawyer's office, the reality hit hard. Form after form detailing every aspect of our marriage. Assets I didn't even know we had. Debts I wasn't aware of. Victoria explained each document patiently. He's been hiding money, she said, looking at some bank statements Erin had managed to print. These transfers to an account in just his name? That's marital property. He's trying to conceal. I stared at the numbers. Thousands of dollars moved without my knowledge. Well, he told me he couldn't afford for me to have a car. He'd been squirreling away money. This is good for your case, Victoria said. Financial abuse is abuse. There was that word again. Abuse. I was an abuse victim. The label felt heavy and wrong, even though I knew it was true. We spent 3 hours in that office. By the end, my head was spinning with legal terms and procedures. Victoria assured me she'd handle most of it, but there were decisions I had to make. Did I want to fight for the house? Did I want to push for maximum alimony? I just want to be free, I said honestly. We'll get you there, she promised. But don't sell yourself short. You're entitled to half of everything after 20 years. On the way home, we stopped at a phone store. Aaron insisted on getting me my own phone plan. He can't track this one, she explained. Fresh start. Another first. My own phone, my own number. I felt like a teenager getting their first cell phone, except I was a middle-aged woman starting over. As the salesperson set up the phone, Erin's phone rang. She looked at the screen and frowned. It's Matthew, she said. My son. My heart clenched. She answered, stepping away to talk. I watched her face, trying to read the conversation. Her expression grew serious, then sad. When she came back, she looked tired. Dad called him, told him his version of events. What did he say? I asked, dreading the answer. He's confused, angry. He wants to talk to you. I took her phone with trembling hands. Matthew? Mom. What's going on? Dad says you left him for no reason. Matthew's voice was accusatory. He says Aaron brainwashed you. My heart broke. I closed my eyes, trying to find the right words. It's complicated, honey. There are things you don't know. Then tell me, he interrupted. How could you just leave? How could you do this to our family? Each word was a knife. My baby boy, the one I'd protected from the worst of his father's temper, now turned against me. Matthew, I love you. This isn't about you. I have to go, he said coldly. I have a final tomorrow. Thanks for ruining my week. He hung up. I stood there holding the phone, tears streaming down my face. Aaron hugged me right there in the phone store. He'll come around, she whispered. Once he knows the truth. But would he? Or had I lost my son in the process of saving myself? We went back to the apartment to find a notice on the door. My husband had been there, leaving a letter. Aaron grabbed it before I could, reading it first. More threats, she said, crumpling it up. Nothing new. But I could see it had rattled her. Her safe space had been violated. He knew exactly where we were, and he wanted us to know it. Inside, we found Ben had installed a new deadbolt on the door. A note explained he'd be back later with a security camera for the hallway. The fact that we needed these precautions made everything feel more real, more dangerous. That evening, while Aaron cooked dinner, I sat with my new phone, staring at the blank contacts list. I had no one to call. No friends left after 20 years of isolation. No family besides my children. The weight of my loneliness hit me all at once. Mom? Aaron found me crying on the couch. What's wrong? I have no one, I sobbed. No friends, nothing. He was right. I am nothing without him. She knelt in front of me, taking my hands. That's not true. You have me. You have Ben. You'll make new friends. You'll build a new life. I'm 45 years old, I said. Who starts over at 45? Brave people, she said firmly. Strong people. You. But I didn't feel brave or strong. I felt small and scared and alone. The apartment walls seemed to close in, and I suddenly couldn't breathe. I need air, I gasped. We went for a walk around the block, Aaron holding my arm. The fresh air helped, but I kept looking over my shoulder, expecting to see him. We can't live like this, I said, always afraid, always looking. It's temporary, she assured me. Once the divorce is final, once the restraining order is in place, it'll get better. But as we turned the corner back to her building, we saw him. My husband. Leaning against a car across the street, just watching. Aaron pulled out her phone immediately. I'm calling the police, she said. He saw her with the phone and got in his car, driving away slowly, but the message was clear. He could find us anywhere. He was watching. The police came and took another report. The officer suggested we vary our routines. Maybe stay somewhere else for a few nights. But where could we go? Aaron had work. I had lawyer appointments. That night, neither of us slept well. Every car that passed, every footstep in the hallway made us tense. At 3 in the morning, Aaron came to check on me. "Can't sleep either?" I asked. She shook her head. "I keep thinking I hear things." We made tea and sat together in the living room, all the lights on, like children afraid of the dark. "I'm so sorry," I said. "I've ruined your life, too." "Stop that," she said firmly. "You haven't ruined anything." "He has. This is his fault, not yours. But if I just stayed, you'd still be miserable and eventually it would have gotten worse. It always does." She was right. Deep down, I knew she was right. But knowledge didn't make the fear go away. As dawn broke, we were still on the couch, having dozed fitfully. My new phone buzzed with a text from an unknown number. "You can't hide forever." My blood ran cold. He'd found my new number already. How? Aaron took the phone, screenshotting the message before blocking the number. "We'll add this to the evidence file." Evidence file. My life reduced to a folder of threats and harassment. But within minutes, another text from a different unknown number. "I'm watching you." Then another. "Come home where you belong." He must have gotten multiple phones or was using apps to generate numbers. Aaron turned my phone off completely. "We'll get you another new number," she said wearily. But we both knew it was temporary. He'd find that one too. This was our life now. Running, hiding, always looking over our shoulders. That morning, the restraining order was ready to be served. The process server would deliver it to him at work, the officer explained. After that, any contact would be a violation. But he has to be served first, the officer warned. Until then, keep documenting everything. We went to Victoria's office to continue the divorce proceedings. She discovered more hidden assets, more financial manipulation. The picture she painted of our finances was shocking. "He's been planning this for years," she said. "Moving money, hiding investments. He never intended for you to have access to anything." I thought about all the times he told me we couldn't afford things. No car for me, no vacations, no dinners out with the non-existent friends. Meanwhile, he'd been building a secret nest egg. "This changes things," Victoria said. "This level of deception? The judge won't look kindly on it." Good. For the first time, I felt a spark of anger instead of just fear. He'd stolen 20 years of my life, and apparently my financial security, too. We were leaving the lawyer's office when Aaron's phone rang. The process server. He wasn't at work, the man explained. His office said he took a sudden leave of absence. "Do you have a home address?" Aaron gave it to him, but we both knew what this meant. He was hiding, making it harder to serve him. Playing games. "What now?" I asked Victoria. "We keep trying," she said. "And we document that he's evading service. It won't help his case." But it meant more days of limbo. More days of looking over our shoulders, of jumping at shadows. That afternoon, we tried to establish some normalcy. Aaron went to the grocery store while I stayed in the apartment. She'd been gone 10 minutes when the doorbell rang. I froze. Through the peephole, I saw a delivery man with flowers, but I hadn't ordered flowers. "Delivery for apartment 3B, he called out. I didn't answer. Something felt wrong. After a few minutes, he left, leaving the flowers outside the door. I waited until I was sure he was gone before opening the door a crack. The card on the flowers had just 2 words, "Come home." I grabbed the flowers and threw them in the trash, my hands shaking. He was escalating, finding new ways to reach me. When Aaron returned, I told her about the flowers. Her face went pale. "He's using delivery services now," she said. "We need to be more careful." But how much more careful could we be? We were already living like fugitives. That evening, Ben came over with the security camera he'd promised. As he installed it, we told him about the latest developments. "Maybe you should consider a women's shelter," he suggested gently. "Just temporarily." The words hit me hard. A shelter? Like a real abuse victim, which I was, I reminded myself. "I'll think about it," I said, though the thought terrified me. Aaron's phone rang. Matthew again. She handed it to me reluctantly. "Mom?" His voice was different this time, smaller. I talked to Aaron. She told me some things about Dad. Things I didn't know. "Oh, honey," I said, tears already starting. "Is it true, about the hot water?" About him not letting you leave the house. Yes, I whispered. Silence. Then, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry I yelled at you. It's okay, I said, though my heart was breaking. You didn't know. I should have, he said. I lived there, too. I thought it was normal. Like we all had. Dad keeps calling me, wanting me to convince you to come back. I didn't know what to say. You don't have to say anything, I told him. This is between your father and me. But it's not, he said. It affects all of us. Aaron says you're getting divorced. Yes. Another silence. Good, he finally said. You deserve better, Mom. Those words meant everything. My son didn't hate me. He understood. We talked for a while longer. He promised to come visit after finals, to help however he could. When we hung up, I felt lighter somehow. Both my children were on my side. But that relief was short-lived. As night fell, the fear crept back in. Every noise, every shadow could be him. Aaron tried to distract me with a movie, but I couldn't focus. Around 10 o'clock, Ben's security camera app alerted us to movement in the hallway. We huddled around Aaron's phone, watching the feed. A figure stood at our door, not knocking, just standing there. The image was grainy, but we knew who it was. He's just standing there, Aaron whispered. For 5 minutes, he stood perfectly still. Then, he placed something on the doormat and left. We waited another 10 minutes before Aaron carefully opened the door. An envelope. Inside, photos of me from the past few days, coming out of the lawyer's office, at the bank, walking with Aaron. Each one taken from a distance, but the message was clear. He was always watching. That's it, Aaron said. We're calling the police again. But what could they do? He hadn't technically threatened us. Just left photos. The officer who came seemed sympathetic, but explained the limitations. Until he was served with the restraining order, there's not much we can do unless he makes a direct threat or tries to hurt you, she said. So, we were stuck waiting for a piece of paper to be delivered while he circled like a predator. That night, we pushed the couch against the door. It was probably useless, but it made us feel slightly safer. I lay in bed staring at the ceiling, wondering how my life had come to this. 20 years ago, I'd been a young woman with a master's degree and dreams. Now I was middle-aged, unemployed, sleeping on my daughter's couch with furniture barricading the door. The contrast was devastating. But then I thought about the alternative. Still in that house, still walking on eggshells, still flinching every time he raised his voice, still being nothing more than property. This fear was temporary. That life, I told myself, would have been forever. Morning brought new challenges. Aaron had to go to work, but neither of us wanted me to be alone in the apartment. In the end, I went with her, spending the day in a coffee shop near her office with my laptop, looking for jobs. 20 years out of the workforce made my resume look pathetic. But I had to start somewhere. I updated my LinkedIn profile, reached out to old college contacts I'd found online. Most didn't respond. The few who did seemed shocked to hear from me after so long. One message stood out. An old friend from grad school, Sarah. Oh my God, is this really you? I've wondered what happened to you for years. We exchanged a few messages. She was a department head now at a local company. When I hinted at my situation, she immediately offered to meet for coffee. I might have some opportunities, she wrote. Let's talk. A spark of hope. Maybe I could rebuild after all. That afternoon, the process server finally succeeded. He'd caught my husband at a gas station. The restraining order was officially served. Now any contact is a violation, Victoria explained over the phone. If he texts, calls, comes near you, call the police immediately. But would a piece of paper really stop him? We were about to find out. The restraining order changed nothing. Within an hour, my phone rang from yet another unknown number. I didn't answer, but the voicemail he left was crystal clear. A piece of paper won't keep me from what's mine. Aaron immediately called the police to report the violation. The officer who took our report seemed frustrated by the system's limitations. She explained that unless they caught him in the act or had more concrete evidence of immediate danger, arrests were difficult. They'd add it to the file. That evening, Sarah met me at the coffee shop. Seeing her after 20 years felt surreal. She'd aged gracefully, carried herself with the confidence I'd lost somewhere along the way. When I explained my situation, her expression shifted from shock to determination. "I have an entry-level position opening next week," she said. "It's below your qualifications, but it's a start. Can you interview Thursday?" Thursday was 3 days away. 3 more days of hiding, of looking over my shoulder. But it was also hope. A real job. Income of my own. Erin was thrilled when I told her. We spent that night updating my resume, practicing interview questions. For brief moments, I forgot about the constant fear. Then, a car backfired outside, and we both jumped. The next morning, Erin had to attend an important meeting she couldn't reschedule. Ben offered to stay with me, but I insisted I'd be fine. I needed to prove I could handle being alone, even if just for a few hours. 20 minutes after she left, the building's fire alarm went off. I grabbed my purse and joined the other residents filing outside. The morning air was crisp, and I stood with the small crowd, waiting for the all-clear. That's when I saw him. My husband. Standing across the street, watching. Our eyes met, and he smiled. The fire alarm hadn't been a coincidence. I backed toward the building entrance, but a firefighter stopped me. "Can't go back in yet, ma'am." My husband started walking toward me. Other residents milled around, oblivious to my panic. I pulled out my phone, hands shaking as I dialed 911. "He's here," I told the operator. "There's a restraining order." He pulled the fire alarm to get me outside. She kept me on the line while dispatching officers. My husband stopped about 20 feet away, hands in his pockets, that same smile on his face. He didn't speak, didn't need to. His presence said everything. The police arrived before the firefighters finished their inspection. I pointed out my husband, explained about the restraining order. One officer approached him while another took my statement. "He hasn't come within the restricted distance," the officer explained apologetically. "And we can't prove he pulled the alarm." I watched them talk to my husband. He gestured calmly, played the concerned ex-husband, just checking on me. The officers looked between us, clearly unsure who to believe. Eventually, they told him to leave, warning him about the restraining order. He walked away slowly, making sure I saw him get into his car. But I knew he'd just circle the block, wait for the police to leave. When we were finally allowed back inside, I ran to the apartment and double-locked the door. Erin called, having seen my missed calls. "I'm coming home," she said immediately. "No, finish your meeting." "I'm okay." But my voice shook. Ben arrived 15 minutes later. He didn't say anything, just sat on the couch with his laptop, working remotely. His presence helped, but I couldn't shake the feeling that my husband was still out there, waiting. That afternoon, Victoria called with updates. The divorce papers had been filed. My husband would be served within the week. She'd also filed for temporary spousal support, given the hidden assets she discovered. "He won't like that," I said. "No," she agreed. "Which is why I want you to be extra careful. Men like him escalate when they feel they're losing control." As if I needed the warning. That evening, food delivery drivers kept showing up at the apartment. Pizza, Chinese food, Indian cuisine. None of which we'd ordered. Each time, Erin had to explain the mistake. By the 4th delivery, we realized what was happening. "He's trying to force us to open the door repeatedly," she said, looking for a pattern, no weakness. We stopped answering altogether. The deliveries continued for another hour before finally stopping. Ben installed a doorbell camera that night, muttering about how we shouldn't need to live in a fortress. Thursday arrived with my interview. Erin drove me, insisting on waiting in the parking lot. The building felt strange, a professional environment I hadn't been in for 2 decades. My hands trembled as I signed in at reception. Sarah met me in the lobby, her smile warm and encouraging. The interview felt surreal. Questions about my skills, my goals, my experience, all while my phone sat silent in my purse, a constant reminder of the chaos waiting outside. "You did great," Sarah said afterward. "I'll fast-track this. You could start Monday if you're ready." Monday. 4 days away. A lifetime in our current situation. But it was also hope. As we left the building, Erin jumped out of her car. Her face was pale, phone in hand. Dad's been to my work, she said. Security had to escort him out. He told everyone I kidnapped you, that I'm holding you against your will. The humiliation on her face broke my heart. Her professional reputation, tainted by his lies. This was what I'd feared. My problems destroying her life. I'm so sorry, I started, but she cut me off. Don't. This isn't your fault. But we need to do something more drastic. That evening, we met with a security consultant Ben had found. He assessed the apartment, made recommendations, better locks, security film for windows, a safety plan. The costs added up quickly. Money I didn't have. I'll cover it, Aaron said. No, honey, you've done enough. Mom, stop. Your safety is worth more than money. The next morning, installers arrived to implement the security measures. While they worked, my phone rang. Matthew. Mom, he said, voice tight. Dad's here. At my dorm. He wants me to convince you to come home. My blood ran cold. He'd driven 3 hours to our son's college. Don't let him in. I said. I didn't, he replied, but Mom, he looks bad, like he hasn't slept. He's scaring me. The image of my husband, disheveled and desperate at our son's door, sent conflicting emotions through me. Concern, fear, guilt. Call campus security if he won't leave, I told Matthew. I'm sorry you're dealing with this. It's not your fault, he said, echoing his sister. I never knew he was like this. None of us had. Not really. Or maybe we'd known, but refused to see it. An hour later, Matthew called back. Campus security had removed his father, banned him from the property. My husband had apparently made quite a scene, accusing everyone of conspiring against him. That afternoon, while Aaron was at work and Ben had stepped out for groceries, I sat alone in the newly secured apartment. The irony wasn't lost on me. All these locks and cameras to keep out someone I'd once promised to love forever. My phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number, but this time it wasn't my husband. This is Detective Martinez. We've arrested your husband for violating the restraining order. He's being held pending a hearing. Please call me. I stared at the message, reading it 3 times before it sank in. Arrested. He'd actually been arrested. The detective explained when I called. They'd been building a case, documenting the violations. The incident at Matthew's college, combined with the previous violations, was enough. He'll likely be released on bail, she warned. But there will be conditions. No contact, GPS monitoring. Real consequences if he violates them again. When Aaron got home, I told her the news. She sank onto the couch, relief and worry battling on her face. It's not over, she said. No, I agreed. But it's something. That weekend, I prepared for my new job. Aaron took me shopping for work clothes. In the fitting room, trying on blazers I couldn't really afford, I caught sight of myself in the mirror. Middle-aged, starting over, scared, but determined. You look professional, Aaron said, peeking in. Like someone who knows what she's doing. I laughed because I definitely didn't know what I was doing, but I was doing it anyway. Sunday night, Victoria called with news. My husband had been released on bail, as expected, but he'd also been served with the divorce papers. His lawyer had already contacted her, proposing a settlement. He wants to keep everything, she said. The house, the investments, all of it. In exchange, he'll agree to the divorce. The audacity stunned me. 20 years of marriage, and he thought I deserved nothing. Absolutely not, I said. Good. I've already drafted our counterproposal. You're entitled to half of everything, plus alimony. Don't let him bully you into accepting less. Monday morning arrived with a mix of terror and excitement. My first day of work in 20 years. Aaron drove me, promising to pick me up after. You've got this, she said, squeezing my hand. The office felt foreign but welcoming. Sarah introduced me around, showed me to a small cubicle that felt like a palace. My own space, my own computer, my own nameplate. The work itself was simple, data entry, filing, basic administrative tasks. But sitting there, earning my own money, making my own decisions, felt revolutionary. At lunch, I ate alone in the break room, watching my coworkers chat and laugh. Normal people living normal lives. No one knew my story, my situation. Here, I was just the new employee, not the abused wife, not the woman starting over. My phone stayed silent all day. No threatening texts, no unknown numbers. The restraining order, the arrest, the GPS monitor. Maybe they were working. Erin picked me up, eager to hear about my day. As I told her about the mundane details, the coffee machine, the filing system, my tiny cubicle, I realized I was smiling. Really smiling. That evening, we celebrated with takeout from my favorite restaurant. Ben joined us, bringing a cake that said, "New beginnings in messy frosting." "I decorated it myself," he said proudly. We laughed at the lopsided letters, the smeared flowers. It was perfect in its imperfection, like everything in my new life. Tuesday through Thursday passed in a blur of learning new systems, remembering old skills, building routine. Each day got easier. My coworkers were kind, patient with my questions. Sarah checked in regularly, offering encouragement. Thursday evening, Victoria called with updates. My husband's lawyer had responded to our counterproposal with a slightly better offer, but still nowhere near fair. "He's stalling," she said. "Hoping you'll get desperate. Give in." "Don't worry," I told her. "We have time and the law is on your side." Time? Something I'd thought I'd run out of at 45. But here I was, building something new. Friday afternoon, as I organized files and answered phones, I felt something I hadn't experienced in years: confidence. I was good at this. Rusty, sure, but capable. My coworker Jamie stopped by my cubicle. "Hey, a bunch of us grab drinks on Fridays. Want to join?" The invitation caught me off guard. Social interaction. Friendship. A normal life. "I'd like that," I said. Erin was thrilled when I called to say I'd be late. "Mom, that's amazing." Making friends. The bar was loud, crowded with the after-work crowd. My coworkers welcomed me into their group, bought me a drink, included me in their conversations. For an hour, I forgot about restraining orders and divorce lawyers. Then I saw him. Not my husband. That would have been almost easier. Instead, it was one of his friends, Kevin, sitting across the bar, watching me. My blood chilled. I excused myself, heading for the bathroom while texting Erin. She responded immediately, saying she was on her way. When I returned to the table, Kevin had moved closer, just a few seats away. Not approaching, not violating any order, just watching, making sure I knew I was being watched. I tried to focus on my coworker's conversation, but my hand shook. Jamie noticed. "You okay?" she asked quietly. "I need to go," I said. "I'm sorry. Family emergency." I gathered my things, headed for the door. Kevin followed. Not closely, but obviously. On the street, I walked quickly toward the main road where there'd be more people, more witnesses. Erin's car screeched up to the curb. I jumped in and she drove off immediately. "Was it Dad?" she asked. "Kevin," I said. "His friend." She swore, something she rarely did. "He's using proxies now." We drove to the police station, filed another report. The officer seemed sympathetic, but explained the limitations. Kevin hadn't approached me, hadn't said anything. Following someone in public isn't illegal. But it's obviously intimidation. Erin argued. "I know," the officer said. "But proving intent is difficult. Document everything. If it escalates, we can revisit." That weekend, we stayed in the apartment. The walls felt smaller, the security measures less reassuring. My husband had found a loophole, a way to maintain presence without violating the order. Monday came with new anxiety. Would Kevin show up at my work? Follow me at lunch? The not knowing was almost worse than actual confrontation. But the week passed without incident. I threw myself into work, grateful for the distraction. My skills improved daily. Sarah mentioned the possibility of advancement. Additional training. Wednesday evening, Matthew called. He was coming home for a weekend visit. Wanted to see me. The thought of my son visiting this fortress apartment, seeing how he lived, hurt, but I missed him desperately. "Of course," I said. "We'll make up the couch." "Actually," he said hesitantly, "I was thinking maybe we could get a hotel room. All of us. Neutral ground." He didn't say it, but I understood. He wanted to see me without the constant reminder of the situation. I agreed, though the expense worried me. I'll cover it, he said quickly. I've been working extra shifts. My children taking care of me. The role reversal stung, but their support meant everything. Friday afternoon, Victoria called with significant news. The judge had reviewed the financial documents and was not pleased with my husband's attempts to hide assets. He's ordered a full forensic accounting, she said. Your husband will have to disclose everything. No more hiding. It was a victory, but I knew it would enrage him. Sure enough, within hours, the harassment escalated. Not from him directly. The GPS monitor prevented that. But suddenly, I was getting calls from creditors about accounts I didn't open. Magazine subscriptions arrived at the apartment. Our internet service was mysteriously canceled. He's trying to make your life hell, Ben said after spending an hour on the phone fixing the internet situation. It's working, I admitted. But I didn't give up. Each problem I solved, each harassment I documented. I was building a paper trail miles long, evidence of his campaign against me. Saturday arrived with Matthew's visit. Seeing him at the hotel lobby, I nearly cried. He looked older, more serious. The past months had aged us all. We spent the day talking, really talking. He asked questions about the marriage, about things he'd witnessed growing up. I answered honestly, watching his face process the truth of his childhood. I'm sorry, he said finally, for not seeing it, for taking his side initially. You have nothing to apologize for, I said firmly. Children shouldn't have to analyze their parents' marriage. Aaron joined us for dinner. Watching my two children together, supporting each other and me, filled me with pride. Despite everything, I'd raised good humans. That night in the hotel room, I slept better than I had in weeks. The neutral space, the anonymity, the distance from the apartment, it all helped. For a few hours, I felt almost normal. Sunday brought reality back. As we checked out, the desk clerk handed me an envelope. This was left for you, she said. Inside, photos of us from the previous day, at dinner, in the lobby, walking outside. No message needed. He was still watching, restraining order or not. Matthew's face went dark when I showed him. This has to stop, he said. But how? The police added it to the file, but without direct contact or explicit threats, their hands were tied. The system that was supposed to protect me had so many gaps. Monday at work, I found myself checking windows, scanning faces. The paranoia was exhausting, but I refused to quit. This job was my lifeline, my independence. Tuesday afternoon, Sarah called me into her office. My heart sank, certain she was going to fire me. The drama of my life had to be affecting the workplace. Instead, she offered me a promotion. You're doing excellent work, she said. There's a full-time position opening in accounting. It requires some training, but I think you'd be perfect. I stared at her speechless. A real position, benefits, a salary that would let me support myself. Yes, I said, voice thick with emotion. Yes, absolutely. That evening, I shared the news with Aaron and Ben. We celebrated quietly, mindful that good news seemed to trigger escalation. Sure enough, Wednesday brought new challenges. My husband's lawyer filed a motion claiming I was hiding assets, that my new job was proof I'd been capable of working all along. The irony of him accusing me of hiding anything was not lost on Victoria. It's a delay tactic, she explained. He's throwing everything at the wall. Don't worry, the judge will see through it. But each delay meant more months of this limbo. More time for him to find new ways to torment me. Thursday, I started my accounting training. The instructor, a patient woman named Linda, walked me through software I'd once known but had long forgotten. My brain, dormant for so long, struggled, but persevered. You're picking this up quickly, Linda said. Most people take weeks to get this far. The praise felt foreign but wonderful. I was capable. I was learning. I was surviving. Friday evening, as I practiced the new software at home, my phone rang. The caller ID showed the local hospital. Is this Mrs. Davidson? The voice asked. Your husband has been in an accident. He's asking for you. My blood froze. An accident? Despite everything? Concern flickered through me. 20 years of marriage didn't just evaporate. What happened? I asked. He drove his car into a tree. He's stable, but injured. He keeps asking for you. I looked at Aaron, who'd been listening. She shook her head firmly. I'm sorry, I told the nurse. There's a restraining order. I can't come. Oh, she said, sounding surprised. I'll make a note of that. After hanging up, I sat in shock. Had he done it on purpose? Was this another manipulation? Victoria called within minutes. The hospital contacted me too. Don't go. This could be a violation of the order on your part. But what if he's really hurt? That's not your responsibility anymore, she said gently. He has family. Let them handle it. But the guilt gnawed at me. What kind of person doesn't visit their injured spouse? Then I remembered the kind of person who's been terrorized, stalked, and threatened. The kind who's protecting herself. Updates trickled in through Victoria. He'd been drinking. The crash was intentional, witnesses said. He'd been ranting about me before driving into the tree. The GPS monitor showed he'd been circling our neighborhood for hours before the crash. This is escalation, Victoria said. Self-harm to manipulate you. The judge needs to know about this. That weekend, I couldn't focus on anything. Was he okay? Was this my fault? Had I driven him to this? Stop, Aaron said firmly when I voiced these thoughts. His choices are not your responsibility. He did this to himself. Monday came with news that he had been released from the hospital. The restraining order had been modified to include a wider radius, given his escalating behavior. But I felt no safer. If he was willing to hurt himself, what else might he do? I threw myself into work. The only thing that felt stable. The accounting software started making sense. Numbers had rules, logic, predictability, everything my life currently lacked. Wednesday afternoon, Victoria called with unexpected news. His brother reached out. The family wants to intervene. They're trying to get him help. I felt a mix of relief and skepticism. His family had enabled him for years. Dismissed my concerns. Why no? The accident scared them, Victoria explained. They're seeing what you've dealt with. His brother wants to talk to you, with lawyers present. I agreed reluctantly. Maybe family pressure would succeed where legal measures had failed. The meeting was scheduled for Friday. I spent the days anxious, second-guessing my decision. But when I sat across from my brother-in-law, I saw genuine concern in his eyes. We had no idea it was this bad, he said. He hid it well. We're sorry we didn't believe you. They'd arranged an intervention, he explained. Treatment for his obvious mental health issues. If he refused, they'd cut him off financially, emotionally. We want to support your divorce, he added. Make it as smooth as possible. You deserve peace. I cried then, not from sadness, but from validation. Finally, someone else saw what I'd lived with. Finally, I wasn't alone in this. The intervention happened that weekend. I wasn't there, of course, but his brother called with updates. My husband had raged, denied, blamed me for everything. But eventually, faced with unified family pressure, he'd agreed to treatment. It's a start, his brother said. We'll make sure he stays. That week, something shifted. The constant text stopped. No more delivery harassment, no more stalking by proxy. The silence felt strange, suspicious, but also like breathing room. My training completed, I officially started my new position. The salary wasn't huge, but it was mine. I calculated how long until I could afford my own place. Not long if I was careful. Victoria called with more good news. With my husband in treatment, his lawyer had reached out about a settlement. A real one this time. He's offering a fair split of assets, she said. Alimony for 5 years. The house sale split evenly. It's not everything you deserve, but it's reasonable. I thought about fighting for more. 20 years entitled me to longer alimony, but the thought of this ending, of being free, outweighed the money. Take it, I said. The paperwork would take weeks to finalize, but the end was in sight. That evening, Aaron and I looked at apartments online, small places I could afford on my salary. Nothing fancy, but mine. This one has good light, she said, showing me a listing. Close to your work, too. My own place. The thought terrified and thrilled me equally. The next few weeks blurred together. Work, apartment hunting, legal meetings. My husband stayed in treatment, his family ensuring compliance. The divorce moved forward without his usual obstacles. I found an apartment, a 1-bedroom in a secure building with good locks and a doorman. The lease had only my name on it. When I signed, my hand shook with the weight of independence. Moving day arrived with mixed emotions. Aaron helped me pack the few things I'd accumulated. Ben carried boxes, making jokes to lighten the mood. Matthew drove down to help, taking time off from classes. "I'm proud of you, Mom," he said, carrying a box of kitchen supplies I bought at a thrift store. The apartment was small but bright. I stood in the empty living room, keys in hand, overwhelmed by the journey that had brought me here. From that first conversation with Aaron to this moment, free, employed, independent. That night, I slept alone in my own place for the first time in my life. No husband, no daughter's couch, no fear keeping me awake. Just me in my own bed, in my own apartment. The divorce finalized 2 weeks later. Victoria called with the news, her voice warm with satisfaction. "Congratulations," she said. "You're officially divorced." I sat at my desk at work, phone pressed to my ear, trying to process the words. Divorced. Free. The marriage that had defined and confined me for 20 years. Over. "Thank you," I whispered. "For everything." That evening, Aaron and Matthew took me to dinner to celebrate. We went to a nice restaurant, one I could contribute to paying for with my own money. As we raised our glasses in a toast, I looked at my children, my reasons for surviving, my support through hell. "To new beginnings," Aaron said. "To freedom," Matthew added. "To all of us," I said, my voice steady. "And to hope." 6 months later, I stood in my apartment preparing for work. My life had settled into a routine. Work I enjoyed. Weekly dinners with my kids, occasional coffee with Sarah, who'd become a real friend. I'd even joined a book club, slowly building the social life I'd been denied for decades. My ex-husband remained in treatment, his family reported. No contact, no violations, no threats. The restraining order would expire soon, but I felt less afraid. I'd built a life he couldn't touch. As I locked my apartment door and headed to work, I thought about the woman I'd been a year ago. Trapped, isolated, convinced I was nothing without him. That woman felt like a stranger now. My phone buzzed with a text from Aaron. "Dinner tonight? Ben's cooking." "Wouldn't miss it," I replied, smiling. I walked to work, just another professional woman in the morning crowd. Anonymous, independent, free. The fear that had defined my days was fading, replaced by something I'd almost forgotten existed. Hope. For my future, my possibilities, my life. It wasn't the life I'd planned at 25, but at 46, it was mine. And that was everything. This journey, it was the hardest thing I've ever done. And it all started with one phone call from my brave daughter. "What would you have done in my place?" Have you ever faced something like this, where your entire world was turned upside down? Tell me what you think in the comments below. I really want to know.